Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Welcome back to Wildside, the official Mondo Macabro podcast. I am Ryan here with Chris, as usual. Chris, welcome.
Hey.
And back again, Jared Honor from Mondo Macabro, here to talk about new announcements, a couple of the releases that he just spent 4 years shipping out, and and everything else in between. Jared, thanks for coming back.
Hey, thanks for having me. As always, really glad to see you guys and be here with you. Talk about these really weird movies that we just announced.
So great. Ryan, every time you say Wildside, I'm tempted to have, like the old radio shows where they would have that like, yeah, or something like some kind of stuff.
Wildside.
Yeah.
Like early morning talk radio DJs, like shop talk sort of thing. The Wild Side.
Maybe I'll go on Fiverr and try to get a couple people to record a soundboard before I post it. Jared, we got a lot to talk about. You just finished the biggest mailing of the last year for you. You've got
biggest mailing of my last life.
You've got two brand new title. Well, technically 4 films, 2 releases that we're going to be talking about, and then just life in general. Other than that, so let's get into it. This mail out. This was a long-awaited mail-out. How did that go for you?
That's putting it mildly, I think. Yeah. For whatever reason, this one really generated a lot of anxiety in people. And I can only apologize that it took so long. I mean, a lot of it was out of our hands. But at some point we do have to take responsibility. It was just we weren't ready at the time that this stuff went into, that we put them on sale. We just weren't where we should have been. So it took a long time to get out, but it finally is all out. And then, it was just, it just was a lot of stuff. It was like 3,000 orders. So it took a long time. I do all the shipping pretty much by myself. I got some help from my wife, and that's it. Like, I know the listeners can't see, but you guys can see. This is a tiny little space that I'm in. This is where I work. So and I have a storage unit, so I have to like go back and forth between there and pick stuff up. So it's a time consuming process. We're looking to change that next year. So if we can, I can't say anything more about it right now because I don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully. And for sure, I'll just say this for sure. I think I say this after every Halloween sale. It's not going to happen again, but it really is not going to happen again. For one thing, we're already working on Halloween titles for this year.
Nice.
So, awesome.
Like they're in, like the scans are being done and everything. So,
but Jared, just on a positive note, I mean, you sold a whole bunch of Cafe Flesh, right?
Yeah, that sold out in like 4 days.
Amazing.
Something like that.
It wasn't a 1,000 run; it was a 2,000 print run.
Yeah, that's incredible for us. I mean, we're not, we're among the biggest of the small labels, so that's really impressive for us, to have done that, And I'm kind of sad that the other ones haven't sold out, but I think there's only like 200 left of Bohachi Bushido, which is not out of 2,000 again, so that's pretty good, So.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. I forgot that was another 2,000 one.
Yeah, all the UHDs, pretty much all the UHDs will be like 2000 edition, just because it's easier to get them. What number did you get? He's holding his up, folks. He's holding up his.
Look at this.
Oh,
lucky number.
He got a number 13. He got a number 13.
I was so pumped. I don't know what y'all did in Magic because I got like 1,100 for Cafe Flesh. Yeah. So which is
completely random for those,
But 13, I don't know if I have any limited editions that are that low. I'm going to hold on to this.
I know, man. Yeah.
I won't even show mine because of the shame.
Well, I put in a specific request when I order that Ryan gets something close to number 2000.
And it works every time, and I can't argue with it. How's the feedback been on this cycle? Because obviously 4 titles, and what's funny, these are very like sought after titles. One of these was soft announced many years prior, just for it to come out now. And then to get these UHDs coming of these titles that people have wanted for 40 years, literally, is crazy.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, all of these have been things that people have wanted for a long time. I mean, I think we talked about Girl Slaves of Morgana Le Fay was one of the first Blu-rays we announced, and it never came out because we ran into rights troubles. But that was literally 12, 13 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So it it was a long time until we were finally able to get that out. So that's very nice. And it's just gorgeous. It looks great.
Yeah.
Bohachi Bushido is something, I think, we didn't, it wasn't, people had been just generally asking, I hope this comes out. And, no one really asking us, which was fun. That's fun to do, is sort of spring it on people that that movie was never associated with us in the past, but was really happy to I got in just in time. I think I'm sure someone else would have picked it up like a week later if I just was at the right time.
Sorry for not knowing this off the top of my head, Jared. But this is your first Ishii film, right?
Oh, is it? It might be. Let me think.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. I was just doing a quick research. I didn't find any other ones.
No. Yeah. So yeah.
And he's got such an amazing filmography too, both in quality and in depth and breadth.
Yeah. I think it was, a lot of his movies are sort of out from other people. Like a lot of his stuff had been grabbed up by a lot of people. So I was happy to get that. It's my favorite, I think, of his films. So I was extremely happy to get this one. Yeah.
Well, to get into the weeds on that title specifically, was there a story on why that one had not been released before that you know of, or was it just...
I had asked about it 2 years before we finally signed it, and it just didn't have an HD scan. And the way Toei works, they sort of don't do things upon request. Like you can't say, well, I want to license this title. Can we request, or can we even pay for? Like they don't work that way. At least not with me. They've never worked that way. It's always like, well, we've got this now. And literally I wrote the sales agent, who's very cooperative and helpful otherwise. And she was just like, oh, yeah, we've got a raw 4K scan we just did of this.
Wow.
I was like, let's do it. And so, so we took that raw 4K scan and did it ourselves. So if you like the way it looks, you can congratulate us. If you don't like the way it looks, fuck off.
It's all their fault.
Yeah. So, yeah.
We're going to get into covering at least a couple of these titles that just came out in the mailing in just a little bit, but we got a lot of stuff to cover too that's been happening since then. You had not even teased, straight said some titles are coming, and we got some announcements this week, and some people very, very excited about these. We have 2 double features. First one coming is of the is it Ava Man or Eva Man? I've not seen this one. I'm sorry.
I think it's Ava.
Ava. That's what I said last night. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So Ava Man and the Return of Ava Man, and then the other one is Lady Desire and Sexomania. Man, this is a horny drop, Jared.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's don't show these to your grandmother when you get them in. She's not doing her, especially the Ava Man ones. Yeah.
That cover is such a beautiful piece of art.
I know, right? Yeah. We had the idea, and we didn't do it. We had the idea that maybe we would do a spot gloss slip cover for it with, certain parts very tactile, so to speak. But it just wasn't in the card. So it is a lovely piece of art. And that, I think we got the scan of that from our good friend Ian Higby, who's who's on this disc. He's like the world's foremost English language expert on D'Agostino, or whatever his name is. I think I got that right. The director of the film, the director of both films. So he had the poster, and he got that for us, and he contributed a lot of stuff in general. But yeah, it's a very exciting. The movies are a lot of fun. I know they're super obscure, and probably a lot of the audience out there has not seen them. But like, if you just like, that sort of late 70s, early 80s kind of style of Euro trash, you're going to love this stuff. And what's sort of fun is that they're not like super heavy. They're not super like dark, gross exploitation, which I love that stuff. I love all the D'Amato, Emmanuel stuff, So, I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but it's kind of nice, a sort of change of pace. It's sort of in that same style, but the movies are done with a real light touch. They're very fun. And there's a very just positive, like ahead of its time, positive attitude towards non-heteronormative, sexual proclivities.
That's awesome.
It's sort of just of a piece with the time, the sort of post-Franco in Spain explosion, of like freedom to express and to be let their freak flags fly. So it's very. I mean, there are a lot of out of sort of dated, notions to put forth, but it's just, they're just so much fun. You can't, even if there's some attitudes that are sort of non-politically correct, or language that is used that is non-politically correct. It's such a light touch. You can't possibly be mad at it.
That's awesome though, Jared. The premise of the first one, Ava Man, is basically that there's somebody who's born with both sets of genitals, and as opposed to making it like a shameful thing, they sort of turn it around and kind of celebrate it, and feel there might be and that person might be like the next generation of human, right? Isn't that kind of the
sort of, yeah. It's like, yeah, she's I mean, I don't know if the term might not be so widely accepted now, but hermaphrodite. And the actress is not a hermaphrodite. She is a trans woman. But in the movie, she's depicted as a hermaphrodite. And she's raised by this scientist who kind of puts, he develops this device that's going to save the world, and his vehicle for getting out this device that's going to save the world through sex is this person who has both genitals. So it is presented as like this positive step forward for humanity, that she embodies, all aspects, as defined at that time in Spain or Italy, that she did, that it's, I'm sort of losing track of where I'm going with that, but you get what I'm saying, essentially. It's presented positively in every aspect. Yeah.
It's like a celebration of the whole intersex community, right? Which is where it becomes less of a political issue and more of a scientific one, which is it's kind of fun to celebrate it in that way. It's like a different take on it. And you have members of the trans community that are even on here, right? Like, I think one of the commentaries, like y'all went out and found really interesting historians and everything to kind of come around this.
Yeah, I think the people doing the commentary, I think they wrote a book about, I think, trans people and trans issues in genre films. Yeah,
it's great.
I can't remember the name of the book right now. So, but yeah,
that's awesome. What a cool
it's great. And Eva Robbins is also on the disc itself too, which is the best extra, for my money, the best extra. Because I don't think anyone's heard from her. Of course, she was probably most famous for having a very small role in Tenebrae, Dario Argento's Tenebrae. Mm-hmm. She's the woman that's in the flashback. The main character flashes back to a sexual escapade of his youth, and she plays the woman. A very interesting choice, because she's just presented as a woman. Sorry, I'm using language that's probably not politically correct, but at the time, anyway. I mean, she's just expressed as, she's not a trans woman in the film. She's
yeah. No, it's cool though. I love this kind of stuff though, because it's like you don't really think about 60s and 70s and 80s like this. There being a lot of sensitivity and any kind of nuanced discussion around this stuff, right? So it's cool to see it. Yeah, this is the book.
But again, I think it was sort of the director is Italian, but the movie was made in Spain, and there really was a sense, I think, at that time that Spain was sort of opening up and like being like, well, we're going to explore a lot of things, and so that was just. I mean, it is treated. You get characters in the movie, like you get like big studly characters who are like, oh no, when she gets naked, and then get into it, so it is like this. There's a aspect of freedom to the movie that's very joyful and just fun and fun loving. The movies are just a lot of fun. I can't imagine anyone. I mean, it might not be to your taste or whatever, just that style of movie. They are sort of sex comedies, but certainly no one would find it offensive or.
That's cool.
Or just too heavy, or whatever. They're just good fun.
Even the reverse art kind of screams that it's just good fun. It's just very light. It looks like such a good time. I cannot wait to get this one in. Yeah. They're a lot of fun. Both movies actually are. It's funny. They are essentially the same movie. It's just the second one isn't like a continuation necessarily. It's sort of like it takes the elements of the story of the first one and just sort of reimagines them and reshapes them. It's like all the same actors are all in it, and they are all playing either very similar, but slightly different roles, or are just playing different roles, but occupying a similar space in the storyline. It's very weird and fun. I watched them back to back essentially. So it was a very interesting, and I'm pretty sure they were shot back to back even. So it's fun. The whole set is fun, and there's tons of great extras that put everything into perspective. Great thing about Ajita Wilson, who we've not mentioned yet, who is also prominently featured in both films. Another, sort of trans icon in the film. So, but yeah, great stuff. You mentioned the extras, 4 new interviews, a visual essay, an audio commentary, and a short film. This is a particularly overloaded release, especially when you realize it's 2 films. That's a lot for a Mondo release. This is pretty great.
It is, especially and for 2 films that are really obscure. You don't get that. I mean, we've probably released. We've released better known films that have less extras than this. It was just when we started going, just people wanted to be involved. I mean, literally Ian Higbee, his contribution was like, he just was like exploded with joy because he'd been doing all this research on the director and loved the movies, and and other people too. It was just this like, oh wow, you're doing this. Well, I would like to contribute this. And then we, act interviews with the cinematographer and the sound recordist for the film. I mean, it's just, it just sort of one of those rare occurrences where we were able to line up a lot of stuff. So very, very happy.
It's good stuff. The next release, like I said, this is a double feature of Lady Desire from 1968 and Sexomania from 1974. We got this labeled as the Greek Collection Volume 5. Nice to see that return.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah. We've done more than 5 Greek films, but the Greek collection is specifically like the exploitation stuff. So these are in lines with like the Wild Pussycat, Tango of Perversion, Dangerous Cargo, those releases. Yeah.
How about you break us in with Lady Desire? What is all about this one?
Well, this one is my favorite of these 2 particular films. It's a black and white film, 1968 or 1969. And the black and white sort of gives it this sort of moody noir feel to it. But it's basically like, a sort of sex melodrama thing. Cop investigating this woman who's had a bunch of her jewelry stolen, and they interrogate her about, what's going on. And then she starts just relating all these stories about all her various love interests and conquests and things like that. And so there's lots of flashbacks and it's just it's very well shot. It's very well filmed. It has this very stylish, just sheen to it. It's a really cool little movie. It's nothing mind blowing or anything. I don't think any of these movies are necessarily mind blowing. They're not masterpieces, but very interesting time and place sort of films. You see, just lots of Athens street scenes from the late '60s, and
Nice.
very, very cool stuff. I mean, if you liked our release of The Wild Pussycat and The Deserter, like all 15 people who purchased that one, you'll really like this too. It's sort of in a similar vein. I really liked it a lot.
Both Antonio D'Agostino, and Eric Sandro, who's the director for this one. These are both professional directors. This is one of my favorite things about Mondo Macabro. If you look at Eric Sandro, is 46 directorial credits.
Right.
Like, these are people that are busy. They're constantly working. They're very professional. Maybe studio directors that didn't have the same international attention, but this is not like a dentist that decided to go make a movie one day.
It's not a Greek vanity project.
No.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, and that's exactly right. I mean, a lot of these. I mean, we sort of look at some of these old, genre films, and sometimes it's like, it's cheesy, it's trashy, or it's whatever. But if you really look, especially when it's all cleaned up and it's in the right aspect ratio, you can see a lot of the great technical qualities, and because they are made by professionals. Yeah. And by the late '60s, I think Greece sort of had a later start in developing its film industry, but by the late '60s, it was really going. And especially under this, it's sort of interesting. Both of these films in this set sort of bookend the era of the military junta that took over in 68, 67 and went away in 1974. And so this movie is like 68. And then the second movie is from 1974. And it's, so it's very interesting to sort of see that time period put on film. And, the film industry was really going great guns at that time. It was sort of, the military junta had a very sort of bread and circuses sort of mentality as to how they would rule. So they ruled with an iron fist, but it was wrapped in the velvet glove of just sort of, whatever entertainment that we can put out there. And, and these are good examples. You had, as long as you weren't talking about anything political, censorship was eased during the military junta. So you get more sex films starting in this era. And so this is sort of, you see this very much. And porn wasn't legalized until after the military junta. But then you get movies that are porn after that. But as far as just softcore sex, they were willing to let a lot of things go, especially as the 70s went on up until the mid 70s. So sort of an interesting thing. And the producer of the movie is James Paris. And all this is going to be in the booklet for the film, which is written by Jacques Spoor. There's a French guy who's sort of an expert on Greek films, but the producer, James Paris, was in tight with he was an American. Actually, he was a Greek-born guy who went to America and started working in Hollywood a little bit, I think in the lower rungs, and came back to Greece and got in tight with the junta. And so was then able to parlay that sort of, cachet into working and getting a lot of stuff out there. And, and it's interesting, the junta ends in 74 and his career dries up after that. So it's sort of an interesting sort of take. Hopefully that didn't bore too many people.
No, I was going to say the behind the scenes
history lesson, but
the behind the scenes for these movies is always so interesting. Even the second movie, Sexomania, has a crazy behind the scenes story with what's effectively two movies that were shot independently and then edited together in post to make sort of one film.
I mean that's what we think.
Okay,
Honestly, there's not a lot of background information that confirms that, but if you see the movie, it very clearly looks like two different movies.
That's so
And it's like the main woman in the second movie, Sexomania. It's like she's telling her story or whatever to her. It's sort of a similar setup to Lady Desire, where it's a woman, sort of like a troubled woman, telling her backstory. In this case, she's like a nymphomaniac, sort of, who's telling her story to a psychiatrist. And the scenes from the other movie are her when she's young, played by a completely different actress who looks nothing like her whatsoever. Like, not a thing. Like, so, I mean, at first when I watched it, I was like, what? They weren't even trying. But, okay. This is just a completely different movie. Yeah. And I don't think it's a case where it was another movie that they just sort of cannibalized, IFD or Euroscene style and sort of a cut and paste thing. It was, I think, an unfinished film that was then taken, probably produced by James Paris, the producer.
interesting.
And just given this sort of wraparound with this actress.
I'm so bad about remembering the name of this movie, but Luis Buñuel is famous for doing this, right? Where he shot a movie with two different female leads.
Is that Obscure Object of Desire? Is that
maybe it's the one with yes, it's with two. Let me see. I can just find this in 5 seconds. But maybe they were trying. Obscure Object of Desire. That's right. But maybe they were trying to do something intentional like that too. Just maybe they were being surrealist.
I doubt it. I doubt there was any sort of intellectual like aspect put onto it at all. But you can view it that way. There's no reason why you can't. And the effect is like that. I mean, it becomes this sort of disorienting effect as you're watching the movie. That's, it doesn't quite all gel together, but it gels together in this sort of non-rational way. And it's fun. And lots of great exploitation movies are like that, right? They're not necessarily meant to be surrealist, but they are absolutely 100% surrealist.
Yeah, it ends up being
because of all these weird disorienting effects that are accidents of the production.
Totally.
Lady Desire, touted as its first appearance on home video. That's a big deal in 2025.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I think, I couldn't say for sure because, lots of stuff came out in Greece on VHS in the 80s. So that was a for whatever reason, a very fertile market for exploitation.
Oh, interesting.
I guess so. Yeah. That's according to Pete, who would know. So I don't know. I'll just take his word for it. You should too. All of you.
Good to know. Yeah, this is cool to get stuff like this. Worldwide debut on Blu-ray. That's a big deal for a title like this as well. Again, solid-looking release. Both films, 2K restorations. You got multiple tribute videos, and then stills and posters, trailer, and a booklet like you alluded to. And then, of course, you've got the red case, as always, with a set of art cards. This is just a damn good couple releases coming to follow up the Halloween slate being delivered.
Yeah, and it is sort of nice too. The Halloween slate was bigger. The UHD titles, all stuff that was sort of like long awaited, or even like we didn't mention The Punishment, the one that was just Blu-ray only. I mean, we announced that one years before, and it took forever to get out. So all this sort of long awaited stuff. Or films that people have known about forever, like Cafe Flesh, a legitimate cult film. So it's nice in the aftermath of that to really go deep and do stuff that's obscure and just sort of, marginal in a sense. And I don't mean that in a negative sense. I mean that in just movies that are on the margins of what, a mainstream North American cult video audience would be aware of. And, and that's one of the things we like to do is we like to put stuff out there that you've never seen before, that you haven't bought 1,000 fucking times already.
There's a we've said this before, but y'all are one of a small handful of labels that people don't care. If it comes out, they'll just watch it, you know? Like, they trust you, they trust Pete, they trust just, like, the quality's been so high for 30 years. Like, it's
not quite that long, but like
Yeah.
25, 26 years.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, certainly Pete's been doing it almost 30 years, I'm sure, if not 30, but
So
Mondo
it's just-
Macabro itself. Yeah. But yeah, that's exactly. And we do have a core audience that like buys everything we do, you know?
There's on one of the Discords I'm in, there's a sub channel, I guess, that just from Mondo Macabro. And every single time, whenever there's an announcement, there's a roll call for everybody to make sure that everybody bought the bundles.
The Bundle Boys.
The bundle boys. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
You heard about that?
Yeah, is that the Vinegar Syndrome?
Yeah.
I'm a regular poster there, actually. Yeah, I post there fairly regularly. It's a nice little. That's a nice little niche sort of forum where everyone, for the most part, everyone's pretty cool. You know, you get occasional naysayers, but you know, less so than in other places.
Yeah,
so,
and they typically there's some policing that goes on inside the Discord too. People are being out of control.
Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, there's they call themselves the Bundle Boys. Bundle Boys Unite.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I bless you, bless all of you. You're helping me put food on the table for sure. Yeah.
Well, both of these will go up on sale on May 1st at 9 a.m. Pacific at the Big Cartel site. The other thing is the site is back open. The long-awaited return of the Bollywood horror box is there. By the time people can hear this, hopefully it's sold out. So you missed out, but who knows?
It depends on when you're going to put this out. Let's see.
Literally
At
as
the
soon as
moment that
possible.
we're recording this, though, I have drum roll. I have 27 copies left. I think I put 75 or something up.
And I believe since we started recording, I've got 2 other people to purchase it.
Ooh, yeah, nice. So, and these are the last copies, as far as I'm aware. Our distributor doesn't have any. So there might be some still, because we did sort of solicit it to retailers at some point, and there might still be some floating out there in some shops, but our distributor doesn't have any. I got in the last 80 roughly copies of it. And I didn't put every single one of those up just because I need to, if I need any replacements or stuff. And believe it or not, Pete and Andy, the founders of Mondo Macabro, still don't have copies of it. So I had to hold some back for them. But these are the last ones. And this won't be your last chance to see these movies in HD, though. There's some confusion about that out there, I think. We will be soliciting retail editions. We might do sort of like double discs, double features, or we might just do single discs of each movie.
Oh, yeah.
Not really sure how we're going to do that yet. I don't think Pete's looking forward to doing the work for soliciting those. But
have you softened up at all on the idea of putting out another box set?
Yeah, I think time heals all wounds.
Okay, good.
And I've forgotten that it's like giving birth to a child. Like mothers, like they just forget how bad it hurt, and so they're willing to do it again. Yeah, so I am definitely willing to do it again. And we learned a lot of lessons, so I think we do. I mean, and we've not done box sets, but we've done several multi-film sets since then, or a few. I'm trying to think if I don't think we really have anything lined up at this moment that would sort of work as far as that sort of box set format would be. But
step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
at least like that with the big sturdy box or anything. But I don't know. Yeah, if something comes up again, then for sure. Yeah.
Well, words out of my mouth. One of the things I was going to mention now, because there's been a lot of confusion, whether it's on some of the forums or just in comment sections everywhere, that I've seen had to answer for people, and I've had to help people out they're always worried that some of your limited editions will never get a standard edition.
Yeah.
Because of how they're licensed, that will be wildly clear when those go on sale, if that's the case, right?
Yeah, I personally really don't like to play those sort of games. The sort of like, we can't confirm at this time, or, or whatever. Like, I really, if something is limited edition only, I like to put it out there right away when we put the limited edition out,
right.
When it's even put up for pre-order. Now things can change. Like we initially said that the UHD for Dr. Jekyll and the Werewolf was going to be limited edition only. That was what we decided. Since we couldn't do both cuts of the film on the UHD, we decided just to do it limited edition. But since then, our distributor has been bugging us night and day to put out that UHD disc to re-release it as a retail edition. And I sort of got some feelers for it like last year, and mostly it was positive. There were a few salty people. And I got salty right back to them. but it's going to happen. In fact, I just took a look at the cover for it. It's going to have a unique cover. So
nice.
I'm using old ad art for it. Excuse me. So that's coming. So that's an exception. That's just something, we made probably the wrong decision about that. And we fess up to that. It's something that there is a call for. So, but for the most part, if we say it's going to, if it's not going to have a standard release, a retail release, we'll say up front. We'll just say this is limited edition only. So if we don't say that, then it will have a standard or limited edition release. It takes
the bulk of them too.
What's that?
That is the bulk of them. Most of these titles will get a standard edition.
Yeah, absolutely. Like 95% of them absolutely will. Yeah. Yeah. So like Cafe Flesh is the one that I'm getting the most questions about.
Of course.
Because it sold out so quickly. And the only reason there's been no retail release for that yet is just because Pete's been busting his ass in the background to finish the Halloween titles and then to go straight away into these two new ones.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, are done essentially. So there's not going to be a 5-6 months long wait if people are worried about that. That's not going to happen. They're done. They're going to go on sale May 1st and probably start shipping out within 2 weeks at least.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's impressive turnaround.
Just as an aside. Yeah.
Can't wait to get those. Not that I'm pressing for titles or anything other than this. Do you want to hint at like maybe a following pre-order or anything coming up in the pipeline for the rest of the year on here as an exclusive?
Let me think real quick. Like we've got some stuff that I'm excited about. Here, I'll say this. I'll say that we've announced one of the Halloween titles this year is going to be UHD for Devil's Nightmare UHD upgrade. Mm-hmm. Sort of Euro horror classic. Euro trash classic, very fun movie. We sort of made some compromises early on when we originally released that on Blu-ray. Compromises with the material, and it looks good, but we knew it could look a lot better. But this time I think we were able to find like a pristine negative for it or something. Okay, Something came up that wasn't available before. And so that is being worked on right now. Like, in fact, I'm sure the scan is done. It's probably just in restoration right now. So that's one thing we already sort of announced, but I'll say this just because I do get some questions about it. And I know some of the older titles we've been doing have been picked up by other labels. And so I want to sort of make sure that people know that there is another upgrade coming. It won't be UHD, but we are going to be releasing Mystic Symboli and Queen of Black Magic on Blu-ray for how the goal is that's a double feature release, like a deluxe double feature. They'll each have their own disc.
Wow.
Release for the Halloween for the Halloween sale. That's the current plan. That's one of the 4 releases that we have sort of earmarked.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, long time coming. And we were sort of, really surprised that no one else sort of picked up these films. But as we started talking to Roppy Films more, we found out why. It's because they don't have materials for those anymore.
Right.
So when we did them on DVD a long time ago, sort of like with The Warrior and with Silip, those were done in HD at the time. So those were given HD scans at the time. And if anyone who's seen The Warrior or Silip, we fooled people. Didn't fool people. We didn't try to pull one over, but like we just put it out saying, we didn't say anything about it. And people thought,
right.
Oh, brand new, beautiful 2K restoration. And they're not. It's an old, older HD telescene, but they look really great. And it's the same case with Mystic Symboli and Queen of Black Magic. So essentially we have the only HD materials for them.
Nice.
So anyone else who went knocking on Roppy's door asking about those films, they were like, sorry, we don't know anything, but we do. We've got them. So we've been hoarding those HD scans. So those will be it. They'll have some, some of the same extras that were on DVD, maybe a few extras, some brand new art, and in full HD, and in a double feature set with it'll have a slipcover and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Very nice. I literally spoke on Mystic Symboli on my show last night. That's
did you?
Amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a personal favorite of mine as far as the Indonesian stuff goes. Maybe second only to Lady Terminator. And don't ask me about Lady Terminator.
No.
Off air, you can ask me. I'm not going to go on the record.
Well, should we get into a discussion on 2 of these more recent shipments that we've got in? We've got Cafe Flesh and Bohachi Bushido that we were going to talk about. 2 films released in the Halloween bundle, just shipped out by Mondo Macabro, 2 4K discs. Let's just go around. Cafe Flesh. Oh, Chris, go ahead.
Before we talk about the movies, because I have so much to say, Jared, can we just call out who did the slipcover art for these 3? Because holy cow, it's beautiful, and like they're all in theme. Like I don't know. Like I was blown away by how beautiful they look in when you hold them.
Oh yeah. The Girl Slaves of Morgana Le Fay, just to pick one that we're not going to talk about, though maybe we should, is original ad art. So, and I think on the back, there's just like a little thing that Pete did with Photoshop, but the cover, the front cover is original ad art for the film. There's a lot of really beautiful ad art for that movie.
This one?
Yeah. So that is original art that was done. Yeah. Cafe Flesh is, Cafe Flesh was, we sort of had a hard time. If you guys recall, it was like we didn't reveal the slipcover, and it was because there was a lot of back and forth going on between Pete and the director, who is a graphic designer himself. That was where his background is, and so he has a very clear aesthetic and everything. And so there was like. He was like, well, there's this, great poster, but we know we wanted to use that on the inner sleeve and for the retail release, and we wanted something different for the slipcover.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was just some back and forth, and ultimately it was just literally just like Pete took 2 screenshots from the thing and just cleaned them up a little bit in Photoshop, and that's what they are.
Wow.
So that's what that is. And then of course, I think topping everything is, Justin Coffey, one of my best friends in the industry, really super great guy and just amazingly talented. And he really knocked it out of the park for this one. Yeah. I love the art. I love the front. I love the back. So he did that. That was, original design that sort of he and I sort of cooked up. And he just ran with it and did, a really, really bang up job. So as far as just original art goes, Justin for that one, and deserves all the credit.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. What do you guys think of the, or if you've heard anything or any feedback in your communities, what do you guys think about the fact that the titles are not on the front of the back? How does that sit with you?
I'm fine with it. Most of the time, you're seeing the spine, anyways,
Yeah.
and then when you pull them off, the slipcover themselves are a work of art. So that to me is fine. If it was something, the titles thing, I know it gets to certain people, but as long as they're on the spine, I don't see why you would complain. There's that movie that just came out, Damien Rugna movie that just came out last year, the year before. Do you know what I'm speaking of?
Is that The Terrifier? Is the name?
No, that's Damien Leone.
Oh, okay.
Different day.
It's God. What is?
I'm so
It's
bad at modern stuff.
I keep wanting to say "Speak No Evil," but it's the other one. It's the Argentinian film. Jesus Christ. When Evil Lurks. That's what it's called.
Okay.
RLJE released that, and there's literally no title on the spine. I think they did a very short run of slipcovers where it was on the slipcover, but most people got without a slipcover, and there's nothing on the sleeve to show you what it is. It's just red. And so people were pissed, and people are literally, they just announced a 4K was coming out. They said, "Oh, I'll upgrade so I can see what is actually on my shelf."
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I sort of get it, but I also sort of like, well, it's I don't know. Is that something to be really mad about? But I do get it.
All three of these movies, we're about to get into it, but they all have a very distinct visual style.
Right.
And that style is captured by the slipcover. So if you haven't seen the movie, at least it's on the spine. But if you have seen it, like these are all instantly recognizable.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's no question which movie these are.
Yeah, sure. And it's something I find appealing. I think it looks nice specifically for slipcovers. I don't think I would do it just on a sleeve, like in a red case.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless we just had a design that really just worked that way. But as far as just like the slipcovers, and the way I figure it is that it's not, the slipcover version isn't sold in stores. Like no brick and mortar has got it's like sitting up on a shelf, and that often is the idea for having the title like right on the front is that it's like poof, it's right there, So I don't know. I just hadn't heard much feedback about that, and that's become sort of our house style for the slip covers going forward, and I think we're gonna keep doing that. I just was curious as to your guys. You guys are close to the streets.
Was that an internal debate at all?
What's that?
Was that an internal debate with you and Pete to question whether to put it on there or not?
Honestly, we haven't had that much discussion about it. I think it just sort of has happened organically. Like he did it with Dr. Caligari on that slipcover. And then I think with Bohachi Bushido, like originally we were going to have the title on the cover when I was like working on it with Justin. And I just said, well, let's try it without the title. Because I just thought it was taking up too much space in the image. And so I was, let's try it without it. And I just thought it worked beautifully.
Yeah, it does.
And Pete agreed. And so, and it just, yeah. So it just is sort of come up, and I really like it. And I've had discussions with other people that are like, I don't know if I do like that. Like other insiders.
Right.
But I really like it. So I just, like I say, I just wanted some feedback about, how it's playing out there in the world. I haven't heard anything sort of other one way or the other, really.
One thing, if you wanted a nice spin on it, everything that y'all done is sort of like stuck out. That's kind of been your mantra, right? Like the red cases. Like you've always been sort of different, right? So it kind of is in like spiritual alignment with the Mondo Macabro fashion too, to just be different, right? I mean, it's sort of the movies are different, aesthetics are different. Like there's, I don't know.
I'll take it. I'm rolling with that.
Yeah, why not, right?
Perfect.
Yeah, like I love the texture of the slipcover and the way that they're all kind of aligned in like the darker grays and blacks and then like, even when there is other colors on here, there's nothing that's really like Like they all look like if you put them next to each other, they all look like they're part of a set, which is really I love that.
I thought so too. They sort of all looked of a piece almost.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, it was almost weird because the colors for Cafe Flesh and Bohachi Bushido are sort of similar, sort of dark blues. That became sort of confusing when I was pulling stuff quickly for people. I think I may have accidentally sent some people the wrong things. I did. Because I've heard from them. But yeah. But yeah. So yeah. But I think it works. Just that, like you say, aesthetically, it's sort of it just works. Yeah.
It fits, and the biggest thing is they're thematically on brand. You should be happy with it.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's get into it. I've got so much to say.
Well, let's start with Cafe Flesh then, Chris. Tell us about the movie and your thoughts on it.
You want me to okay, sure. So, full transparency, this is the first Saidian thing I've seen. I know that y'all have already put out Caligari, and there's not a release of Night Dreams, or
no,
there's not an easily accessible one. Okay. So absolutely blown away. Like this is one of those moments where for me, like I was just talking about this because on one of the other shows I'm on, we were talking about the telephone book recently. And I was like, there's a moment in your life where you haven't seen the telephone book. And then there's a moment where you have, and like, you're a different person after seeing that movie. And like, I kind of feel a little bit that way of Cafe Flesh. Like this is, for me, number one, it's absolutely the starter hardcore movie for me. If people are like, I'm trying to get into vintage hardcore, like, what should I watch if they're not sort of inclined that way? Because this is an art movie first. And it's hard to say that, right? Because a lot of times, as soon as you see something going into a vagina, it's like, okay, it's porn, right? But like, this is truly like a piece of art first, just like cover to cover. Or credit to credit, I guess is a better way to say it in the film. And it just, for me personally, it's my aesthetic. Like I love every set design, like every color choice they made, the way they used smoke and the way they used lighting and costumes, just crazy costumes, the way that they like warmed up to having sex by simulating it with these wild costumes and crazy positions. The whole thing, I was just like, this is 100% my jam. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, I couldn't believe I have, I'm going to quickly watch Caligari now because I just like, I have to see more from him.
It's a good take. I was not quite as hot on it as you. I had seen Caligari and I definitely still prefer that one. But the big thing, big shout out to the booklet on Cafe Flesh. The context in this, I was speaking to Jared before we went live that one of the things that I walked away from this completely unexpected to feel is that after this, it felt like this is odd to say about a movie with so much sex in it, but an oddly like warm blanket of welcoming, because it's just an area for people that are like typical outcasts to gather without judgment. And it's freaking rad on that front. It is a really cool example of just the underground and capturing a slice of a subculture that gets no representation anywhere else. It was fun to watch at the very least.
Yeah. That's great. I think I might sit somewhere in between you guys as far as just from a fan appreciation of the film. I'm not quite blown away by it, but I do love it and think the aesthetics of it are really fascinating and really unique. It's like every frame is Steven Sadian. It's just his style through and through. Similar to Dr. Caligari. It's just, there's just no one else who frames things quite like him. No one else who sees like a mise en scene to, like a character within a scene on the frame. There's no one else who quite designs things like him. It's utterly unique, and not just in the sense of, oh, that's weird, which it is. It's really weird, but just in the way that the characters relate to each other within the environment that they're in the room. It sort of relates a little bit to what you were saying, Ryan.
Yeah.
There's just this unique aspect to it that's just unlike anything else. And it has this feel that's like, it it takes you into that universe completely. You are sort of separated out, and that's what a good cult movie does. And it's not a horror movie, but a good horror movie does that, where it makes you feel sort of alienated from real life, from the real world. Like you're cut off, you're somewhere separate. And in a different sense, Cafe Flesh and Dr. Caligari are doing sort of the same thing. I think they're putting you in this universe that is, it's got human beings in it. They're recognizable. It's got, chairs, windows, doors, but nothing about the people, the chairs, the windows, the doors has any relation to your normal everyday reality. And yet it's still relatable. So that's a powerful aesthetic experience. And I think that's the joy of Cafe Flesh for me, is just this complete universe that he creates.
Just to be like, in case people haven't seen it yet, it's sort of like an X-rated Rocky Horror Picture Show in a way, although it doesn't have music to it. It has elements that kind of feel like Clockwork Orange, but not quite to the same level of story, but maybe just like visually. I don't know. I just think I was trying to place it in terms of like context, like where this would fit. And it's just this really interesting little, like kind of science fiction-y story, like a near dystopian future. I don't know.
It's funny you say musical, because wouldn't it have been amazing if Sadian actually had made a musical? Like a full-on, like somebody gave him like $1 million at the time and he worked with some composer and made a music. Wouldn't that just be perfect?
It'd be
like his style would be so fitting to that. It's a real shame that, as far as I know, that never happened. But that just popped in my head as when you said that. Yeah.
We need to get the South Park guys on it. They would probably do it just for laughs.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And Sadian is still around. I mean, he's still out there, still alive, still kicking. So, yeah.
Then our other title that we were going to talk about, Bohachi Bushido. This is a Teruo Ishii film, which, Chris, you've spent a lot of time in the last 6 months or so researching and speaking on Ishii. You want to give any context for the film or background?
So there's, before I say anything about it, I just want to love on Shinya Tsukamoto, because he gives an interview on this disc that is the most sincere and like sweet and also informative. Just like, he loves Teruo Ishii, and it's a little funny seeing Shinya Tsukamoto with white hair. Like, it makes me feel like I'm getting older.
I know, right? I felt the same thing when I've seen him recently. Yeah.
Damn it. But man, that guy loves the movies, and like, he has a really great story on the disc about one of the only time he was in a Teruo Ishii movie, and that's just a great way. Like, the interview's kind of broken up into two halves. First of all, talking about his love for the director, and then ending on a story of like the movie he was in. And he doesn't gush in the sense of, like, he's honest about who Ishii was and wasn't. It's measured in that way, but it's clear that he really like respects this guy. And it's just I would say buy the disc just for that interview alone. Like, then we get to the movie. Like, okay, there's something in this whole Pinku scene in Japan, and it just blows my mind that movies like this, which had, if it's an hour and 40 minutes,
less than that, it's like an hour 20. Yeah, hour 21.
Hour 21. Okay, hour 21. Then an hour and 17 has naked women in it. But like, this was a studio movie, and it's just like, imagine the grand scale of creating this like harem and telling a like historical story about this Bohachi, I guess like prostitution ring or whatever. But like the way the story is told, it should feel sleazy, I guess, but like, it never does. Just the way that the fact that this was a studio movie, and they had amazing cameras and they had beautiful set designs, and they do something that I've only ever seen in Japan and then Night of the Hunter, which is like, I think they have this amazing ability to look at depth within a scene. And so there's certain scenes in Bohachi where there's one in particular where some of the women are walking over a bridge, but they're shooting the scene from like 30 feet away from the bridge, and you just see the silhouettes, and the way they shoot it looks like puppets. And it looks like a cardboard cutout in puppets because of the way they did the lighting, and it's just to put that kind of artistry inside of a movie, I could watch 10 hours of it. Like, it's just like crack for me. So I don't know. This isn't like this month, Jared. I would say this whether or not you were here. This is probably my favorite month from like a boutique label. I don't know, in years.
Yeah.
Like, Bohachi is a big reason for that.
Yeah.
I had three main thoughts walking away from this, and I mostly agree with what Chris just said. This is, I think, the best slate Mondo's done at one time ever, easily. But Bohachi, I pressed play, and the first opening scene is one of those bridge shots that Chris is just talking about, and literally paused the film, 12 seconds into it, and just went, damn. This is going to be a marvel to watch.
Yes, exactly.
That opening background with the red pouring in over the shot of him standing on the bridge is such a beautiful composition. I just knew that it was going to be a gift to see that on disc like that. So I just took a moment to soak it in. The second thing, most of these movies that are not like my go-to genres, I tend to about when the third act is starting, go, well, we're probably about to wrap it up. This movie, the credits rolled at the end, and I went, shit, that's it? I wanted like another 40 minutes of this film, and it popping out at 81 minutes, man, I could have taken a film double this length, and it would have been a damn good time.
Exactly.
The biggest marvel in this movie, though, which is going to come off like a joke, and I promise you it is not, the amount of talent to hide and obscure every single piece of genitalia in this movie is doing so much work. There are shots in this movie where you think, oh, I clearly should be seeing entire labia right now, and I see nothing. They somehow pull it off magnificently. Never see anything that needed to be blurred. No censorship of grandeur. It's just pulled off so well. Ishii knew exactly what he was doing.
What's funny though, just sorry to interrupt, but what's funny about that is that there are also shots in the movie that are like, it's just the girls walking, holding their hands literally right in front of their genitalia. So, and that's one of the things about Ishii's style sometimes is he is not afraid to be just blatant and sort of artificial about what needs to be done. He's not looking for everything to be naturalistic and realistic. Right. And that's what I really appreciate that. It's just literally the girls just walking together with their hands just right in front of their crotches. It's just not even pretending, not trying to hide it in any sort of clever way. Although, like you say, there are plenty of other times when it is done cleverly and stuff. But
people writhing on the floor, and you see from every single angle except that one angle, which is always wild. Yeah.
Well, that's when you put limitations like that on it, and it sort of forces creativity.
Exactly.
It's one of the things. I mean, you get a lot of that in, especially as censorship cooled down in Japan from the 60s and 70s. You get a lot of that stuff because there was that one aspect. I mean, you got lots of sex. Increasing amounts of sex, but you still had this one censorship aspect that they're not going to bend on. And so it forces them, it's this limitation that forces them to be sort of creative about it.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of that in those sort of Roman porno movies from Nikatsu. You get lots of very sort of creative and also not very creative, where literally you have just a black bar. Sometimes even they don't even need to be. There's just a black bar there to make you think there's something that you could be seeing and you're not. It's fun. It's fun.
Sometimes for like 12 minutes at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man, I love movies. This is such a fun way to discuss these.
Well, I know, isn't that why we're here? It's because we love movies.
Exactly.
And like Bohachi Bushido for me is like, it's a movie. It is like put it on and forget that you exist. You only are in that world. It's sort of almost similar to what I was talking about with Cafe Flesh, although it has a completely different feel. And it's just there's this wonderful, like, I think my favorite part, I love movies that seem like you're on drugs. I love that druggy aspect to it. And there's the scenes where like they literally drug Tetsuo Tamba, the main character in the film. And the whole film from there on out, it's like the last 15 minutes of the film, it makes you feel like you are drugged. It makes you feel disoriented and sort of woozy. And I love that. I mean, that's what I love about like some of Jess Franco's best stuff. And it helps that sort of weird, druggy, dreamy ambience that's in this movie and in like Jess Franco's stuff. It helps it from seeming too sleazy sometimes. It sort of alleviates the sleazy aspect of it. It doesn't seem that sleazy because it has this sort of weird, disorienting, arty effect, you know? I love it. I love it. And I love, we've talked a lot about nudity, you guys have mentioned, but we've not talked enough about flying body parts. Decapitated heads, decapitated limbs, like, and that should be, I think, mentioned is that this is a Chambara movie. This is a samurai movie, as you know, we just call it. It's a swordplay movie. There's lots of violence. There's lots of, blood, arterial spray. And I love that stuff. I can't help it. I just, that's how I came to love Japanese films. Post Godzilla, I think, for me as a young man, was the swordplay violence, and this movie has some really great stuff in it, and again, like Ishii isn't even pretending to try and make it realistic. There's just very, I mean, you could probably see like an arm on a string flying, across the screen at a few points. So. And it's just wonderful.
The opening titles end with blood that sort of gets blown away and forms the title of the movie, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So it's woven into the very everything about it.
Yeah. So it's very much like it's an exploitation movie for every. I mean, there's like boobs aplenty, and lots of arterial spray and flying decapitated heads and limbs.
Yeah.
In the best ways.
What more could you ask for?
But I mean, the premise is so simple, right? They just tell this guy, you need to go kill everybody who's sleeping with the Bohachi women, and then he does, and they show a lot of great violence.
Yeah, and it's just a great character. This character who's so just over being a samurai and killing people, just so cynical. Until he meets these people who are even far more cynical than he is, and far more depraved, and far more nihilistic, and he's just like, well, that's too much for me, guys. So this weird dynamic. I just love it.
He looks a lot like David Carradine too.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like Carradine looked to him.
Yeah, and it's Tamba is someone who, if you watch just randomly 10 Japanese movies, pick 10 Japanese movies from the 60s and 70s, chances are 5 to 6 of them at least are going to have Tetsuo Tamba in them.
Right.
He's just one of those ubiquitous actors who worked and worked and worked and worked, and is in very illustrious films, and he's in just gutter trash. It's wonderful. Yeah,
he's got a hell of a presence in this. I mean, even
he does
after those first couple killings, everything after that is just tension, and you can tell it's written well. All the scenes are shot in a way where oh yeah, okay, fuck, this is intimidating. I get it.
Yeah, and he's just stone faced throughout all of it, and yet conveys something throughout everything. It's not just a blank performance. I mean, he is churning on the inside and just stone cold on the outside. He's fantastic.
I love well, go ahead, Ryan, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I love every time I see Tatsuo Endo, he plays that older guy that's kind of like the head of the Bohachi. Everything he says is slow and dramatic, and he has a certain cadence he does in a lot of the movies. I always love when he's on screen. He plays that very specific thing perfectly.
He does, yeah. And the way Ishii shoots him, there's a couple of shots in particular that just really illustrates his very unique face. Ishii loved his face, you can tell, and really makes good use of it. Fantastic stuff.
All that to say, incredible slate. Bohachi, definitely my favorite so far. I've got one more of the 4 to watch.
Which one?
I still have not seen The Punishment.
Okay.
But That one, I just by looking at the cover, I'm like, I think I need the right tone of the room for my wife to be able to be happy with watching this with me.
Definitely, yeah. And it great movie. I loved it. But it is hard to watch. It is a woman going through a lot of abuse, and your tolerance of that will color how much you enjoy the film. It's a movie with an intellectual apparatus happening behind it. It isn't just trash, but it's still harsh. It's still, it's graphic in some ways. So,
yeah, that's the hesitation so far.
I get it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
If it's a good day, don't want to put that on to celebrate.
What's funny is, like, this makes me sound horrible, but it is my idea of a good time. It really
and
is.
I agree. I fully agree. The wife does not. She watches everything with me. So
does she? Yeah. My wife does too. The only thing my wife doesn't like is violence to animals, like even fake violence.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Yeah. I don't either, I've never liked it, but being with her, it's like it bothers me more and more and more now.
So yeah, great slate. This is exciting. 2 more pre-orders coming out May 1st, shipping a couple weeks later. Chris, anything you want to bring up before we call it a day?
No, I guess I kind of already said it, but Jared, I think that the for so long when I get Mondo titles in, I'm like, okay, I haven't heard of this, but I can't wait to see it. And y'all have a very high hit rate with me. We're very much, I think, a lot, in tune. But this month, this Halloween, I guess, or whatever this was Halloween, right?
Yeah, this was the Halloween.
Yeah. There's just, I don't know, man. This was just like a special month. I just really these are the kind of movies that make me feel or make me remember why I love this, like why I'm on so many podcasts and why like what I'm looking for. So I just love it. And I hope that the good sales means that you'll put out more Teru Ishii or dig into Pinku violence more or whatever that is. But I love it. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Yeah, that's to hear that sort of feedback. I mean, it makes it worth it. It makes all the shitty emails I get worth it. I'm kidding, but it really does. I know you're not alone in that there's a lot of people out there who do
of course,
sort of feel the same way. That we're on this wavelength together.
Like we didn't even talk about The Girl Slaves, but that might be one of the best gothic erotica movies that came out in that time frame. Like just beautiful compositions. Like there's an opening scene where the 2 girls walk into a pub or whatever, and it just looks straight out of an old French painting, like a classic French painting.
Right.
So that's fine. We didn't get into it today, but that's another movie that's just beautiful.
It's sort of like the castle, like when they go to Morgana Le Fay's castle, there's just like the shots of the castle on this lake.
Yeah.
Like the mist and everything on it. It's really beautiful, really picaresque, and really sort of puts you in again that sort of this sort of altered state almost. Right. It is a movie, maybe even the most of all these movies. It really seems like, it's like the main character is sort of transitioning to this sort of alternate reality, and you're along with her. It feels like you're in a different place, like you've been taken by the Fae, you've been taken by the fairies, to another place, another dimension. Yeah, that's one I'm glad we were able to finally do. It is one of Pete Toombs' all-time favorite movies, so it's and I love it too. So sort of sad that it's not sold as well as Cafe Flesh and Bohachi Bushido. It's sold okay. It's sold pretty good, but it's not as well. But it is a wonderful movie, and I hope more people check it out.
Same.
So it was a very cinematic bundle, is what I'm getting out of all our discussion.
For sure.
All right. We are happy to be able to keep bringing these to you. Make sure you're following Mondo Macabro. Stay up to date on the pre-orders and all that fun stuff. We'll be having more episodes every month and do our best to cover some older titles and these newer ones since these are coming out so quickly. We'll be discussing those soon. Chris, Jared, thanks for hanging out. Anything you want to say, Jared, for next time?
No, I don't think so. Just thanks to everybody. Thanks for your support and your patience throughout the whole debacle of the Halloween stuff. Like I say, we're going to really try hard not to have that happen again. But I know that most people out there are cool, and most people seem to really love the movies and everything we do. So just thank you to everyone who's out there. Thank you to you guys for having me on and for doing this podcast. I really appreciate it.
Just unfortunate that was the worst thing to happen in the world in the last 6 months, was that slight delay.
I know, right? And everything else has just been going so peachy keen in the world at large. It's the only thing to be worried about.
Careful.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
We'll be doing this next show from El Salvador if we keep going down this
On that note, thank you guys. I love you both. We'll see you next month. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.